How's it going, folks? You have made it to the end of the week. Well done, you. So, let's do some hobby nightmares, and this time we've got some really, really good ones. I can't wait to read them. First of all, to help the channel along, please like the video if you can, if you're enjoying my content, and subscribe and do all that fun stuff. Also, ring the bell. I've heard that makes a big difference in the algorithm. I'm going to stop calling him Al Gore. I did say that in the live stream the other day. I made a live stream tonight because currently I'm addicted to Demon Hunters. Chaos Gate Demon Hunters, so I may be back on with that a little bit later on, or tomorrow, we'll see. But first of all, before we crack on, it's the normal business of Composite Games. They are supporting the channel in great ways at the moment. I think I'm going to be able to finish the Astral Blades pretty soon, thanks to the kind people over at Composite Games. If you go down to the promo code below and you enter that into your checkout at Composite Games when you get your models, you'll get an extra 5% off of the already 20% you get off at the store. That's half of the GW staff discount, let me tell you. That is a deal you're not going to get on very many channels. So, take advantage of it. Get your models. I've been hearing good reviews already from people who've already gotten their models and they've sent me some pictures. So, well done to them. And thank you for supporting the channel. Now, let's get on with some hobby nightmares, shall we? So, let me just check that didn't have sound on it. Because the promo for Composite Games has a lot of sound. That sometimes can deafen the ears of a normal human. So, yeah. Hobby nightmares. Let's get into it. So, first one is from Chris Higgins, who is Lord of Darkness on our Discord, I think. So, hello, Lord of Darkness. He said, "Hi, North. Love the channel, and I've been listening to it for a while. For a while now, and it always lifts my spirits when I'm down." Oh, thank you, man. Well, I'm glad I do that. I'm glad I'm able to do that for you. These are the kinds of messages that I get that, you know, on days when I wake up and I'm like, oh, God, you know, I've got to do loads of teaching, and then I've got to record this video. When I get emails like this and I get messages like that, it really does, like, light a fire under me to keep going. He said, "I thought I should send a positive story." Alright, starting on a positive is always good. Thought I should start with a positive story. So, this happened way back near the end of 5th edition. I was dating my now wife, and had not long moved in with her at her flat. My mother-in-law at the time worked in residential care, and it was quite sad, some of the things she told us. But she and the staff tried to give the kids some normality. Ah, right, so she's looking after kids. Okay, cool. Oh, it means that you foster kids. Right, with you, foster kids. Cool. I think it was later that year when my mother-in-law said to us they had gotten a new kid who liked Warhammer and liked orcs. She described them as green things with teeth. Well, she's technically right. But I knew what she meant, and if I had any going spare for the boy. In residential care, kids get pocket money, but it's only what the council sees fit to give them, which is not a lot. Yeah, councils in the UK are stingy motherfuckers. They do not want to give away any sort of money, especially to those who are in most need of it, but there we go. And it doesn't matter whether you are Conservative or Labour or whatever. Every council I've ever known has been stingy and nasty with people who need it most. So, he said, and I calculated it would take a year for this boy to buy anything half decent. Oh, shit, so that's out. Yeah, so you can see how much he's getting there, like £3 a week, something like that. Not even that. Not even that. £3 a month, maybe. So I looked in my boxes and found some old Gork and Morka stuff, and I thought I would ask if anyone else had some stuff they could spare. I go on the local gaming forums I was a member of and told them the story and asked if anybody had a mini or two they could part with for this young lad. Well, I got such a good response from the community, I ended up, the amount of models I got sent to me to give my mother-in-law equated to a 2,000 point army. There were killer cans, the Black Reach helicopter things, what are they called, Deathcopters? Lots of boys and knobs, I think a war boss or two, and a few other things. So I boxed it up and gave it to my mother-in-law, who took it to the lad. I heard back he was very grateful and overjoyed that he got so much stuff since he did not have anything to start with. I just hoped he kept up with the hobby, but my mother-in-law retired not long after that and lost touch. Oh, okay, fair enough. Oh, you lost touch with him. Be a bit weird if your mother-in-law lost touch with you after she retired. Thanks again, and keep up the good work. That's great. That's great, Chris. That's awesome. Love the fact that this is. I say this in every video where I get stories like this, but this is the hobby, right? This is the beating heart of it right here. Having people like this who will go out on a limb for someone else and help somebody who's getting started in the hobby or is having a bad time of it. Each and every single time that we lose someone due to suicide or or depression or whatever, or that they just disappear and they go off the face of the earth into drugs or whatever. I'm extra sad when they're hobbyists, because there is a platform here that is probably one of the most healthy in geekdom. And that's saying a lot, because a lot of geeky places are quite good about helping you along. Don't get me wrong. There are some toxic people, which, we like to celebrate those in the Hobby Nightmares as well, because it's funny. But at the same time, it's always good to have stories like this to put into perspective that the bad stories are actually the exception and not the rule. The rule is this story, things like this happening all the time. But yeah, speaking of the exception, Balt is back again with some more retail stories. I have a few retail stories today, or at least two. So, Balt's first story. If you remember him, he was from Copenhagen, I think. So, Cult and Chaos, a GW retail story. This guy needs to write memoirs, honestly. Another story from my life in Games Workshop, and this one gets a bit strange. So hold on to your brushes, there will be laughter and anger in your future. Christ, this guy's bringing out the big guns. In Copenhagen, we have a yearly tradition called Children's Culture Night. A night where sports clubs, music halls, and all manner of other culture institutions and businesses make different kinds of events for children. Alright, that's pretty sweet. A local school contacted our store and asked if we would put up a booth at a board game event, and my manager was quick to state that that would be a waste of time, since we wouldn't be able to sell anything, and GW don't need exposure. Okay. I, however, put my foot down and told him that I would do it after my workday ended, and he would have to just give me the day off for it. Okay, cool. The day came and I packed up a quickly made intro table for each of the big games, 40k and Age of Sigmar, 40 intro Space Marines and 40 intro Stormcast Eternals primed in different colours, and some paint sets. Now, before anyone calls bullshit, because Balt's doing a good thing here, just remember he said he worked in the Copenhagen Games Workshop, and there's only one Games Workshop in Denmark, I think. So, it's not as if he's fading into the ether here. He's putting himself out on the line, and I like it. Okay, he says, I also packed up a few core game sets and beginner paint sets to make my booth look impressive, and of course, the big cardboard Space Marine. Brilliant. I carried the stuff all the way through Copenhagen and was set up in a room with other board game people. The evening started slow, and I was afraid that I would have to eat my words about this being a good idea, but then, when I had just started painting one of my conversion models, 3 boys and a girl, aged from 7 to 9, came in and asked what I was doing. I snapped into Games Workshop mode and explained what this all was, and the girl took up one of the unpainted Marines. I asked if she wanted to try and give it some colours, and she was sold. Soon their classmates joined in painting and learning to play. I dropped the GW script and just did my own thing, as I always did when my manager was out of earshot, and fucking enjoyed the evening. Yeah, I did that all the time. So when it's really, really awkward when you've got a manager there who's like a stickler for things like that. You've got to say certain things, because you really just want to break out and have fun with the person there, but, it's pretty awkward. Every time a child left, I gave them the little box with the free model and the store address written on. I wrote my own name on the boxes, since I had to deal with the part-timers in the store, stating that all core games sold to a child with one of my boxes would go on my KPI. Key performance indicators. We've gone over them before. For non-GW people, this is important to us. Yes, it is. Very important. So, each person in the store has their own KPI target to hit, and that basically means, like, your normal, your core box sets, like Dark Imperium, things like that. selling those and selling the core starter paint sets, selling those are key performance indicators. So the more you sell of those, the better you're doing. I'm going to admit something now, because the store that I worked in, that I wasn't a manager of, that I worked in, we didn't get that many starters coming in. And the ones that we did get in, the manager would somehow snake from us, because we would, if we got somebody in and they didn't have the money that day and they went away and came back and then bought the starter box set, even if they mentioned us to the manager, he would still take that sale and say, yeah, but it was my sale, so I sold this starter box set, so it's going on my KPI, right? It's like, okay, fine. But we just started, with me and the other staff had just started filling in KPIs that never got sold, just to put him in the shit. So because we knew he couldn't take it to head office, because then they'd be like, well, take control of your store, what are you doing, you know? So we just like, yeah, so we got away with it by just like, every time I sold one, I put 3 down. And every time he sold one, he put like 3 or 4 down. So it's like, yeah, screw that guy. Anyway. Then 2 guys in there, I mean, he could check on the stock, by the way, of what he sold. But at the same time, like, we would just say, yeah, I mean, he's not going to go back through the entire receipts of the entire week and go, right, I sold 1 on this hour, 1 on this hour, 1 on this hour, you know, because he just, there's not enough time in the day. So we knew he wouldn't, like, call us out on it. So we're just like, yeah, I sold 20, you know. Dave there sold 19 or 21. You sold 25. Well done, you. But you're the manager. So you should be selling these things, you know, that sort of a thing. Anyway. Then 2 guys in their early 40s came to my table. Teachers from the school, and they had some choice words for me. Oh, wow. Haters of Age of Sigmar, they were stating that this game will kill the hobby forever, and Games Workshop made this game to destroy everything good and green, that sort of a thing. In their eyes, I was Abaddon himself. I was the arch traitor who took their hobby from them, that they had not touched for 13 years. I was evil, and they were the Emperor's wrath coming to smite me. As their attack died down, I took off my Games Workshop shirt and said, I'm on break now, let's have coffee, I take mine black, right? I really wanted you, I thought you were going to stand up and just like calmly remove your Games Workshop shirt and there's nothing on underneath it. Just like, you, outside. No, okay. Over coffee, I told them that I love both Age of Sigmar and Fantasy Battles, and I still have a 5,000 point high elf army that I love and will love forever. I also told them that as teachers who taught English to kids, Age of Sigmar might be a tool. I then put on my Games Workshop shirt and asked, so gentlemen, have you tried Age of Sigmar? For the next hour, they tried their hands with the fast mechanics of Age of Sigmar and saw that even though it was not for them, the models looked good, the game was easy to get into. They thanked me for being less of a Games Workshop tool and more of a Warhammer player and left. I felt pretty good. The next day was Saturday, and from the start of the day, children with boxes with my name on came into the store. 9 core game sets, 2 army starter boxes for the uninitiated, were sold on the back of my labours in one day, and several more in the coming days. Even got a greeting from the district manager saying, even though Games Workshop don't do those kind of things, I won't argue with the results, but please ask me next time. Okay. District manager is the guy managing the stores in Europe Continental, so I felt vindicated when I went to my manager to brag a bit and ask for my day off. I, of course, did not get my day off, was just added to my time in lieu pool. That's a fucking story in itself. Monday, the 2 teachers came in and bought Age of Sigmar like crazy on the store's dime to use as teaching tools, so at least I felt like I won a little in the end. In my time, I did several events like this just to break up the monotony of store work, and I hope that Games Workshop will one day be more active outside the stores and show themselves as part of the hobby and not the wall against the hobby that some managers and higher-ups seem to want them to be. I think that Games Workshop staff can and should be the face of the hobby, getting out there and showing off our skills in gaming and painting. Be part of the community. Sadly, it seems like Games Workshop's bosses are losing that connection. In case a Games Workshop higher-up reads this, we need to have a talk, mate. Writing these stories out is becoming therapeutic to me, so all listeners of Mr. North, I thank you for indulging me, and all thanks for having me on your channel, Balt. No problem, man. If you've got any more, then let me know, because these are really cool stories. What I will say is, as somebody who knows a few people who work in school outreach in the UK. They do, if a school goes to Games Workshop and says, you know, can you give us some stuff for a gaming group? Generally, that school will receive, if they're nice, they will receive thousands of points worth of stuff. Like, literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds worth of starter stuff coming to the store. I saw that with my own eyes. So they are... It depends who you speak to at Games Workshop. There will always be bad actors, and your manager was one of them. My manager was another one. Who fool themselves into thinking that they're there for the hobby's benefit when they're not. They're actually the thing that's... They're actually the bottleneck. Those guys are the bottleneck that are stopping the hobby from growing even more than what it is at the moment. These are old-timers. These are people who've been there for a long time, or people who've just joined who are determined to emulate guys like that. It's a shame, and I agree. Games Workshop staffers should... You should feel like you're in the best job in the world if you like Games Workshop products. There were times when I felt that way, when I would walk into my store, or I would walk into Warhammer World, and I would feel like, wow, I've got the best job in the world. When you were talking to people and having fun with people, and you met other people working for Games Workshop who shared the same passion as you, you really did feel like, wow, I've landed on my feet here. This is just the best, and I'm never going to give this up. The unfortunate thing is, around 60 to 70% of the time, you're confronted with what I can only term as arse-hats, who were determined to ruin it for you and everybody else around them. And that's a real shame. But anyway, thank you, Balt, and keep them coming in, man. So, Up and Go Man. Right, we have a picture from Up and Go Man. So, I'm going to upload it, so you guys get to see it. Because I think this looks pretty fucking cool. Let me just see if I can find it. There we go. Bam. Let me just turn this around. Whee! Bang. There we are. So, if you have a picture that you want to go with your story, then let me know. Because I think this is pretty cool. And, look at that. A clean desk. A Northern Exile likes to see a clean desk. That is a very nice desk. Well done, sir. So, let's read this story, shall we? After I've had a little sip of my tea. If I was going to do an ad break, YouTube, put it here, please. Was there an ad there? If there wasn't, I'm going to get them on. I'm going to get Google on the phone. Anyway, Up and Go Man says, "Hey Northern, hope you're safe and well, mate. I am. I'm doing quite well. Thank you very much. Just wanted to share one of my stories for your channel. This one day, I happened across a thread from a guy asking for people to post photos of their Salamander's kit bashes and conversions. Having been pretty proud of my Salamander's Primaris Outriders, I'll post a picture for reference, but I had to cut the torso of the Outrider at the waist and put it on top of the legs of the Stormcast Eternal Evocator on Celestial Dracolith. Not long after posting, I had that guy replying to my photo who was carrying on about how they thought the idea was so cringe and that Space Marines would never ride animals like this. It's so stupid. I took the high road, saying that the hobby is, each to their own sort of thing, trying not to stoke the fire. But he didn't really want to accept that, and I had a difference of opinion. I could almost hear the heavy breathing and hard tapping on his keyboard through the internet. My headcanon for my army's Outriders is that instead of going out and killing one of the native drakes, they capture one and rein it in for taming and to ride into battle. I'm not one to get offended easily or anything, and I brushed off this little moment, but it was enough to have me put the models down for a long while and actually just pick them up to finish on the last weekend. Anyways, have a good day, afternoon, night, King. Keep up the good work. Cheers, man. Well, I think this is quite splendid in terms of an idea for an army. I think these look phenomenal. I really love them. The only thing I could say that might work better is maybe the base. The base for me, I love snow bases, especially with warm colours. So I think that would work really well on this one. Or maybe even a Martian base, but the model itself. I like the base anyway, just a little thing, but The model itself is superb. It is a beautiful looking model. I can see what you mean. Now I can see that the Stormcast Eternal legs look a bit like... It does look like it's stuck on there, which I can... fine, I can see that. But the overall flow of the model, and if you don't know what you're looking for, you're never going to see it, Say, if you're like somebody who's just looking at a Space Marine, unless you tell me that there's Stormcast Eternal legs there, I'm not really going to see it, I'm just going to look at it and be like, oh, there's a Space Marine riding this wolf thing, this Drake thing. I really love this, especially if your salamanders are from another homeworld, you know what I mean, or from like not from Nocturne or something like that, so you're from another like volcanic world. But this looks absolutely beautiful. I don't see why somebody would have a go at this. Like, to me, it just looks great, If I saw this across the tabletop, I'd be like, wow, that's pretty fucking awesome. Look at that. Especially because they're Outriders too. So you're just using the Outrider rules too. It's so elegant and as a design choice. I love it. Absolutely love it. Right. Unfortunately, yeah, you do get people like that in the hobby who, shall we say, have to give their opinion on absolutely everything all the time. What I can guarantee you is because this happened online, that person would never say this to you in real life. It just, it would never happen in real life. It just wouldn't, right? A lot of the complaints I got as a Games Workshop manager, because I didn't allow fucking Titans to be used in my store, would come from people online bitching and moaning, but not one of these cowards would actually come into the store and talk to me about it. I invited them to. I went in several game groups and invited them and said, look, come into the store and we'll talk about it and I'll explain. But I'm not getting on this group and like talking to all of you because I've got better things to do with my time. Sorry, which would only result in more reeing and rending of garments and crying. And not one of them had the balls to come in. I had hundreds of people on that thread. I'm going to try and find it someday. But anyway, I had hundreds of people. Well, I don't think I will because it's got my real name on it. But anyway, I had hundreds of people on that thread having a go at me for not allowing Titans and things like that to be used in store. Name and shame the store. And eventually he did. So I stepped in and said, right, okay, since he's named and shamed the store, so now you know where the store is, feel free to come in and talk to me about it. Because there are very, very understandable rules why shit like this can't happen in store, right? I didn't say I let you do Forge World stuff, because, when they came in, if they did come in, I would have said, look, I allow you to do Forge World, like, Mastodons and things like that, but, coming in with a Titan in like a baby stroller isn't the way to go. Get a life. Go and play with people who actually want to play with shit like that. So I wouldn't worry, man. Keyboard warriors will be keyboard warriors, and unfortunately, Warhammer 40,000 has some of the worst kinds of keyboard warriors. Smug, arrogant, au contraire, assholes. But anyway, I'm showcasing your model because I really like it. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. So, moving on. Zephyr 1. Oh, I've been looking forward to reading this one out for a while. So, Zephyr 1 says... Oh, 1 second. Okay, so Zephyr 1 says, hey Exile, so this story comes from the store I actually run for Games Workshop, and I have done for about 15 years now. 15 years, wow. Congratulations, man. So you may call me a veteran. Yep, definitely. At hobby workshops and retail meetings, I generally stay quiet and toe the company line. I just backing up other people's ideas. I learned long ago that actually trying to push things forward and not partake in the circle jerk is apt to get you shunned and maybe sacked from your job. Yes. So that is something that I will get into a bit later on when I finish this story. The only reason I lasted longer than you, I think, was that the head of retail in my country was actually a good friend of mine, so I've been very lucky in staying the course to the point now that unless something drastic occurs, they aren't going to get rid of me. I guess it means that, you're only like 10 years away from retirement or something, because they're just like, oh, we'll wait for him to retire if you're annoying them. Anyway, my story comes from a visit to the district trainer to my Games Workshop store, unannounced. Yeah, they do this, but not to everybody, and I'll get to that in a minute. So, this trainer, he comes in with the Games Workshop black t-shirt on and walks around. the store is quite busy, and I see him sticking his nose up at my displays and things whilst I was talking to other customers. I could tell just by looking at him that he was there for trouble, and I hate confrontation, so my heart was beating a little bit. I walked over to him and I say hi and introduce myself. He points to my display and says, "What is this?" The display in question is Iron Warriors fighting Ultramarines, all 30k models, Mark III and Mark IV armour, complete with explosions and mortar fire that are actually lit with LED flames and smoke. It gets a lot of people into the store and talking, so it does its job, in my opinion. I think that's pretty cool, man. I really do. I love displays like that, and the fact they do use them in Warhammer World too. Like they have explosions and things like that coming from the floor. Looks really cool. He explains that non-Citadel parts are not to be used in displays, and that he is going to report me to head office. At this point, there is not much I can do, because I'm not letting this guy make me take it all down. I spent a lot of time on it. I fold my arms, finally losing a bit of cool, and tell him to go right ahead, and would he like me to fetch him the store phone? He declines and says he will get to it on his own time, and goes about the store looking at the games that are going on at that moment. He hovers over games like a hawk, looking at models and correcting rules people are getting wrong without being asked. When he told one of my customers that his meshing on an Imperial Guard tank should not be Army Painter mesh, I remember that stuff, it's pretty cool. Whilst he was playing, I finally lost it. I walked over to him and asked him to leave, saying rather loudly, "You are making my customers feel uncomfortable." He did so. Man, what you did there is like the checkmate. It's literally, you walk over to him, "Listen, can you please leave? You're making my customers feel uncomfortable." There is no comeback from that. Even a fellow Games Workshop staffer has no comeback from that, because if head office call you and say you upset this guy, say, "Yeah, he was upsetting my customers, so I asked him to leave." That's it. They have no comeback to that, because the customers are the people they want in the store buying shit, right? So you're protecting their business and asking this person to leave. It's just such a Hail Mary that no one recovers from when you say that to somebody. It's the best thing you could say. Anyway, Zephyr goes on to say, "I shit you not, this happened all the time in the late noughties." Oh yeah, the dark old days. They would come in and test guys they felt were not up to standard. What they really mean by that is that you don't fit their clique of circle jerking and brown nosing in their retail events. Those retail workshops are not for training. They never have been. They are for ferreting out normal dudes who run hobby stores and marking them for special treatment to see if they can hang or be forced out. You are lucky you fell in with the Scottish lads. I did, indeed. A few still mention you, as I tend to gel in with them at a retail workshop when I make it over from Europe. Apparently, you only drank Newcastle Brown Ale, and they liked you for drinking something so cheap and disgusting at a free bar, lol. Okay. Yeah, alright, fair enough. I'll tank that one, alright. Anyway, they watch the channel silently, all of them, in brackets, as do I, and a load of others at Games Workshop. Keep up the good work. It's really good to listen while I have my lunchtime subway. Cheers, Zeph. So, a few things to go on about this. So the retail workshop at Games Workshop is essentially a big get-together of all of the retail managers in a certain country, and sometimes they invite over people from different areas. So in Europe, sometimes you'll get guys from British Games Workshops who will come over and have their weekend paid for them. They'll come over and get involved. And we had people from Europe coming over to ours. In mine, we had a few Italian guys coming in, which is pretty cool. And so anyway, yeah. So the retail workshop is meant to be a training event, but when I was there, I was made to feel I've gone over it in stories that I've told in the past, and the retail workshop story is on this channel, on Hobby Nightmares, so go look at that. But I was made to feel very unwelcome at retail workshops in general. they took one whiff of me, sort of a thing, figuratively speaking. I describe myself as a normal guy. I like to shoot the shit, and if someone gives me shit, I'll give it them back in a playful way. I'm just a normal guy essentially, and I like Warhammer. They didn't like that. I didn't tend to. When I was sitting at a table and I saw a lot of brown nosing going on, I would just stay quiet. I just wouldn't say anything, And when it came to my time to speak, I would actually just tell them my ideas and tell them what I thought about, certain ideas or whatever it is we were talking about, and then just let them talk. Like, I actually wouldn't get involved with that kind of thing at all. To the point that I have a very hard time hiding if I'm bored or I'm not very happy. So I can only imagine that I'm sitting there thinking, for God's sake, will you stop kissing this guy's ass? Will you stop just saying everything he says is so fucking funny? It's not, I once said to the head of retail who was sitting next to me, and we were having a few pints, and he was sitting next to me. This is the head of retail in the UK, not Europe, so probably not the one Zeph knows. And I just said, okay, he's talking about his new PC and that he's playing Elite Dangerous. And I said, oh, I play Elite Dangerous, blah, blah. And he said, oh, okay, do you? Yeah. And I said, yeah. And I said, oh, this thing happened to me the other night. And I told him a story about how I was, taking guys from one sector to another. I think it was like a tourist flight, some sort of thing. And I ended up jettisoning a load of exotic dancers out of my cargo hold by accident, in little. I just thought that was really funny. And he just said, yeah, and went straight back to another conversation. And at that moment, I just thought, yeah, okay, I think he was talking about Elite and I was talking about Eve. You know what I mean? And it was just like, oh yeah, I play Eve. Do you like Eve? He said, yeah, I love Eve. And I was, oh, okay, cool. So here's what I did in Eve. It was really funny. And yeah, he just didn't want to know. He just didn't want to hear. We didn't want to talk to me at all. He was just like, yeah, whatever, dude. Went straight back to another conversation. If you don't do anything for people socially, if you can't, they're all social climbers. And if you can't get on board with that, they just hate you. They just don't want to talk to you. They don't want to get to know you. So a new manager like me is at the bottom of the food chain, and they're not interested in hearing me speak. They're not interested in hearing my ideas. They ask me my ideas. I noticed that the new managers who did quite well at the retail workshop, when they were asked for their own ideas, they would simply say, well, I think Clive or whoever who was a higher up manager than them had a really good idea, and I think I'm going to institute that at my store. They would say stuff like that instead of saying their own ideas, and that would get a good reception. Dickhead here, me, idiot, would come up with my own ideas and try and put forward my own ideas, and would get shot down and told that I couldn't do that, or that I couldn't use non-Citadel products in displays like Zeph has here, or I would get told, you can't run events in store because it's going to attract the wrong kind of people, or you can't do this, you can't do that. And at the end, I just stopped trying. I was like, okay, well, I couldn't lie. I couldn't say this guy's idea is great because I didn't think it was. So I would just say, I've got nothing to add. Yeah, I think, we've covered everything. That stuff like that. It's a real shame. It is a real shame. Retail workshops are not to get better at being a Games Workshop manager. It's to ferret out things like once, right? We were in a meeting, and I don't think I've told this story before. We were in a meeting where we're all sitting down, and we're getting a lesson, quote unquote, from one of the senior Games Workshop guys, and he's telling us how to open a sale, close a sale, shit like that. And I'm sitting there, and my personal trainer comes in and says, "Hey guys, how's it going? I just have a quick hands up, who wants this for lunch, who wants that for lunch, going over, what's gonna be for lunch." And he said, is there anyone in here who is lactose intolerant or doesn't like cheese? And I actually don't like cheese. I'm quite lactose in terms of if I have congealed, milk or stuff like that, or like cheese and things, it gives me an upset stomach. So I just put my hand up. Yeah, me. I'll just have the normal burger. And he looked at me in front of everybody and said, "Yeah, I thought it'd be you." right? Now, this guy's spoken to me twice. The second time he's spoken to me, right, at this retail workshop, first time was just normal greeting, and, you know, that kind of a thing. Second time, he asked me why my girlfriend was at the retail workshop drinks the night before, and she was there for like half an hour just to say hello, because she's working down the road. And he did it in a really rude way right in front of her. And then the next time he speaks to me, he says that in front of everybody. With a really, you know, snotty look on his face. I'm just like, okay, well, you know, that was one of several reasons where I literally looked around and thought, I don't belong here. I don't belong here. You know? I don't know what I am most of the time, but I know what I'm not. And I didn't belong in that room, you know? And I really am happy for you, Zeph, that you've managed to stay the course, because you had a head of retail behind you so they couldn't sack you. And you were able to like duck and dive and stay below the parapet sort of a thing. And now they can't get rid of you. And I bet now your store's running like clockwork, because you've had the freedom to make it your own and ensure that you've got loyal customers and you're attracting new people into the hobby. Great stuff, you know. In terms of non-Games Workshop stuff being allowed in the store, I've heard it go multiple ways. You know, I've heard people say you can use certain things. I've heard people say it's better to ask for forgiveness than ask permission. I came across a lot of really cool people at head office. There was one guy called Chris, who was a fucking legend. Chris and Doug, actually. Doug was really nice too. But Chris was a portly gentleman, you know, baldy head, and he would come around, and every time he was around at my store, he would help me out. He would say, listen, man, he was from head office, you know, he's one of the trainers, one of the head trainers. He goes, hey, listen, man, where do you want me? I'm working for you today. That's what he would say to me. He outranks me by about several levels, and he would say, listen, man, your store, your rules, I'm working for you today, where do you want me? I'd be like, oh, cheers, man. I could do with that, with the stuff, that display being undercoated, and I can do with the snow on that display being put on, and I'd give him all these jobs to do, and he'd do them, and he would talk to customers as he was doing it, just like, oh yeah, you know, man, blah, blah, blah. He said, I'll pass you over to Northern Exile over there, and he'll give you your models and stuff, but yeah, this is the model you want, if you want that, blah, blah, blah. And I just thought, that's how a Games Workshop staffer should act. That's literally how it should be. How a Games Workshop manager, staffer, whatever, that's how it should be. And he set a really cool example. And I played him twice when I went to GWHQ in Lenton. I played him twice in the studio, so we didn't play downstairs, we played upstairs. Because White Dwarf get all the nicer bits and bobs to play with, because, you know, they're special. But yeah, and he beat me both times. The guy runs a mean Astra Militarum list. Absolutely mean. Like, beat me both times. Anyway, those are my stories for today. Those are my hobby nightmares. Guys, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I will be around this weekend. I'm probably going to do some streaming, because I'm fucking skint. So I won't be going out doing much in the way of drinking or socialising, so I'll be socialising with you guys. If you want to help the channel moving forwards, if you want to help us do a bit of, shall we say, you know, prizes for certain events and things like that, or you want to help me build the Astral Blades, the promo code Northern Exile to be used at the checkout of Composite Games will get you an extra 5% off of an order on which you're probably getting 20% off already. Alright? So, up to 25% off, use that promo code down below. I love you all a long time. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you then. I'll see you over the weekend, alright? Have a good one. Bye now.